Hello, this is a video presentation of a PowerPoint presentation I did on amateur radio digital modes at the Bedford and District Amateur Radio Club. So this is about digital modes, not data modes. Data modes refers to generally packet radio, which is the predecessor to the internet really. You need something called a terminal node controller, which is a bit like a modem. It allows you to convert RS-232 or digital data into audio data. So it's very much like what a modem does, converting RS-232 data into audio tones that get transmitted down the phone line. The very early TNC devices were quite intelligent and did all of the processing. You can get TNCs which are called KISS mode, where the PC does more. They're cheaper to buy. Packet radio predated the internet almost. It was based around X25. It's known as AX25. It's used for APRS, which is Automatic Positioning Reporting System, and also WinLink uses it, which is like a global radio email system. But anyway, I'm not really going to focus too much on packet radio. This is about digital modes, not data modes. So that's just a little overview of packet radio and data modes. So in order to work out what to talk about in this presentation, I wanted to work out what modes I wanted to have a look at. As a sort of a newly qualified amateur radio hobbyist, I thought the ones I'd heard of were PSK31 and RTTY. Trying to work out what software you need on your computer in order to drive the rig. These websites give you an idea of what software to use and which ones they go against it. So for different modes you use different types of software. FLDIGI and things like that will drive lots and lots of different modes. So you don't need 50 different pieces of software. Generally one or two programs will actually cover pretty much all of the digital modes. Trying to work out what signals are. So you on a waterfall, on a rig, or if you're using software defined radio, you'll often see or you hear signals on the rig, and you'll see the signals on a waterfall, and you'll wonder what they are. You can go to these websites and they will tell you. You can listen to the sound and you can see what they look like, and you can work out what they are. And from that you can work out what software you need to decode them and also transmit them if you're a licensed amateur radio. As I wanted to do PSK and RTTY, that sort of came down to two different programs, FLDIGI and Multi-PSK. As a beginner and only just really getting into it, when I downloaded and had a look at Multi-PSK, which is this top screen here, I was fairly bewildered by the very sort of busy and confusing screen layout, whereas FLDIGI here on the bottom looked a lot cleaner and easier to understand, and I'd actually used it in the past. So in this event for a first timer, I chose to go with FLDIGI. So you need to connect your rig, your amateur radio, to the computer. Most modern rigs have USB connectors on them. I run a Yaesu FT991A, and it has a USB port on the back. As soon as you plug the USB port into the computer, I get automatically a USB speaker and a USB microphone. So this is effectively like the speaker and the fist mic on the front of the rig. It allows me to send and receive audio to and from the rig. If you don't have one of those, you can use something called a signal link, which again is a USB sound card that plugs into your PC, and on the back you'll have a port on there where you can connect to the audio input and the audio output of your rig, or indeed via the microphone connector on the front. You need to configure the rig. There's a multitude of different rigs, and I can't possibly give you advice on how to do every single rig. Generally, the easiest way is just to Google the name of your rig and FTA or multi-PSK, and generally you'll find some how-to instructions. For my rig, I followed this link here, and there's a number of settings you need to change in order to make it so it accepts cat control from the software, and also so it accepts the data audio signals from the USB port and not from the auxiliary port, or indeed not from the microphone port. So it's important to follow the setup instructions and make sure that you're getting the audio. The mode is DUSB. So DU here on a Yaesu rig means data USB. So it's data mode, and USB is upper sideband, not USB as in Universal Serial Bus. So it's important to not get confused between the two, but all data modes generally use upper sideband, not lower sideband. Another thing to watch out for, especially on my rig, is the receive bandwidth. This is 3 kilohertz. When I'm changing frequencies, this often drops down to 500 or some sort of randomly low value, and I keep having to manually come back and widen that out back to 3 kilohertz. FLDIGI itself needs to be configured. This here is a screenshot of the waterfall. You can see that signals are coming through, so that would be the same as if you had a software-defined radio, if you've got a waterfall feature on your rig. So the fact that you can see signals appearing on the waterfall means that the audio output from your rig is arriving on your PC. You have to set up the cat controls. This is where the software controls the frequency and the mode of the rig, and if you move the frequency dial on your rig, you'll see this moving in real time. So effectively here you would say what port's going to be used for the rig control, and again the Yaesu with the USB connector, not only does it give you the audio input and the audio output, it also presents the RS232 over USB for the cat control. So you just give it the baud rate and the COM port number, and just tell it what rig it is it's going to be using. Also, FLDIGI needs to know what audio to use. So it says capture, it's going to use microphone USB codec, playback USB audio, the speaker and microphone. So that's basically the speaker and microphone of the rig. You can, if you want to just play with this locally, you can just set it to your speaker on your laptop and you'll hear the audio come out. Tuning the rig, so it's important to get the transmit power and the automatic gain set to the correct level on the rig. If you don't get this set correctly, you'll end up either massively overdriving, where you'll get distortion and harmonics and effectively just blow the signal across the over the bandwidth. Within FLDIGI there's a button here called tune, and all that does is just send a constant tune. On the rig, you want to change the ALC, the automatic level control. On the Yaesu rig, it's actually called DT gain, which is data gain, and we want to basically turn the gain down. We want enough gain on there so the signal's getting transmitted at the correct power, but we're not driving it, but no higher than that, so we're not overdriving it. There's a little video clip coming up explaining how to do that. So this is my rig, which is the 991A. You can see here I've got 11 watts transmit power. DT gain here, so that's how much gain you want from the audio signal. So when I key up the tune button, you can see the red light for the transmits coming on. You go around here and you go around to the power, and you want to set the power level. So I've got 11 watts that I'm asking for, and you're checking that the transmit power is equal to 11, or close to there as you can get. You can turn the gain up to 50 on this, and all that'll happen, it will just hard line at 11 watts. It will never go higher. So what you're trying to do is balance the gain, so you bring the gain up until the transmit power is at 11 watts or 10 or 11 watts, somewhere around there, but you don't go any higher. So generally speaking, it needs to be down in the on my rig I found that the DT gain needs to be about around 3 or 4. You do not want to be trying to get the ALC level to be in the middle. You're looking for the minimum amount of ALC gain, ALC level, and whilst the output transmit power that's actually recorded matches the desired output power. This is something I had to sort of learn through trial and error. So moving onwards. So having a look around the FLDIGI software and the main screen, you've got the tune key, which is again is used for tuning up. Also, the thing I didn't mention, you need to, every time you change frequency or any major changes of frequency, do check the tune again, because I found that it does go out and it needs a little bit of a tweak. RXID and TXID, this is where when you start your call, it will transmit something that's called a Reed-Solomon ID, which is basically like a standardized tone which transmits what mode that you're operating in. And the theory is when you transmit, the tone gets transmitted out, and if someone else has got RXID on there, the software is listening out for that sort of standardized tone, which is basically like an envelope that just says what mode you're using. It sometimes works for me and sometimes doesn't. I tend to always transmit with the Reed-Solomon identifier on there, and I always have the receive ID on there. It seems a bit hit and miss as to whether it works or not. If you click, this is generally the sort of the live window of what's going on, of where you're centered on. If you click on any call sign, if you click on it, it will then go do a call sign let up. It'll do a call sign lookup for you. Here is the bookmarks. So I've bookmarked a number of frequencies. I've worked out all the narrowband frequencies where you generally find the centers of activity. So I've bookmarked all the ones. When you click on the frequency here, it will automatically tune your rig into there. The packet USB, this is what aligns back to the mode on the rig. So you must set the mode always to packet USB. Down here is the actual the operating mode you got. So this is the transmit mode of the rig. This is the operating mode that you're actually transmitting, whether it's RTTY, PSK, Olivia, or what have you. These buttons here are the macro buttons where you can send standardized call messages. So I'll cover those in a minute. This is the waterfall and all the different conversations. So there's actually probably 4 conversations. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, and probably another one there, and they will all be scrolling across here in parallel. You click on the on a conversation and it will take you to that particular conversation. Down here is the squelch. There's like a slider that you can move up and down, just like audio squelch. This is like data receive squelch. So you move this slider up so it's just above the baseline level of noise, and it stops it decoding gibberish. Basically, if you leave it at 0, in the same way you get white noise, you'll just get like characters just randomly scrolling across which don't mean anything. So you just bring the squelch up a little bit, or the data squelch, so you don't hear anything. The macro buttons are used just to send out standardized messages. TX means to key up the rig. You always send your call sign twice. Again, that's to do with the Reed-Solomon ID. It's etiquette, and it's also the Reed-Solomon ID. Sorry, not the Reed-Solomon ID, but when your call sign appears in the list, the fact that the call sign's been transmitted twice, it tells it to go and do a lookup of the call sign. So everything's always doubled up. So TX means to key the rig, your call sign to there. So this is an answer of a CQ. So it will know what their call sign was. So the other person's call sign from my call sign, my call sign, my call sign, and then RX means to key the rig back into receive mode or to unkey. If you don't put the RX, it leaves the rig keyed. And then you could actually just type in manually at the keyboard and type in your message if you want. And then here, so in here it will tell you can name these whatever you like. So I've set up all my own ones. So this one means transmit the Reed-Solomon ID and call CQ. This one is to answer somebody's CQ. So I can literally just look in the waterfall, see a signal that I like, click this macro button, and it will respond to that person calling CQ with my response. There's different buttons you can press, like I've got one here called My Kit, which just tells them about myself and where I am and all the rest of it, so much like sort of normal voice transmissions. These are the frequencies that you can, that I found basically from the band plans, but also from just a little bit of experience. I started on 80 meters because that's what my aerial was tuned to. I find a little bit on 40 meters. By far and away the biggest centre of activity that I found is on 20 meters, and PSK31 is generally on 14 megahertz, and these two frequencies here. So RTTY tends to be on 14083. I'm yet to hear any activity on 6 meters, and I'm still yet to hear any activity on 2 meters. I've tried transmitting a few CQs and never got any response. Saturday and Sunday mornings is very, very active on 20 meters, and you'll easily find people talking on there. Now we just go on to some videos of actual transmissions. So I'll just start these video in a video. I'll try and keep my mouse off the screen, but you can see at the bottom the waterfall, and in the top left hand screen here all the different threads that are going on at the same time. So here's a thread, here's a thread, here's a thread, and all you do is you just go and find one that you're interested in, and then you just click on it and then just run a macro to answer them. And then offer away, so that now he's responding back to me. So he started with a CQ, I've responded. I actually responded wrong. I just said D moments, I didn't quite get the start of it right, but they're all just running macros and they'll pretty much just reply to you. And so on and so forth. So then it will just do his name and go on. I'll skip forward a bit here. And you just go through. So this was in Italy, probably using about 10 watts from the UK. And then I just go back with all my details, skipping ahead a bit here. I go back with my details, and so on and so forth. Even while I was in the middle of it, because it's quite a slow protocol, I was just modifying, I was at 30 watts actually. I was modifying the macro on the hop, just see what he was saying in his one, so I just edited my macro to say the same thing. Skipping ahead a little bit more. So there you go, so I just quickly updated the macro and then I was just transmitting all my details there, and you can see it's working its way through. So as it's going red, that's what it's actually working its way through. Skipping ahead a bit more, so he's saying thanks for that. I'll just fast forward a bit here. So just fast forwarding through that. And that's pretty much, you can see all the other conversations all going in parallel reappearing, so you can just find the next one that you're interested in, go and find someone that's clicking CQ, so there's QRZ. I just went through a bit quick. So here's an example of a RTTY call. RTTY's quite got a distinctive sound, and the waterfall you can see is very wide for each conversation. So it's actually really easy to distinguish, because it's derived from teletype, and it actually sounds like old teletype in a way. So this was me calling CQ. I didn't actually get any responses while I was recording the video, but you can see I just go in there a few times calling CQ. So you could just go and wait, see somebody else calling CQs. By far and away the easiest way of doing it. If you can see someone else's signal, you might as well reply to it and see what happens. But you can literally see all the different conversations all happening at the same time, and you can just hover your mouse over them at this time, and you can go and have a QSO with them. And that is it. Thank you very much.